Okay, guys, good morning. So, the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to create a spending plan. Okay, now, how do you create a spending plan? The first thing we need to do is we're going to add a sheet to the bottom. So, what I mean by that is right now we have, right now, right here, I have something called a sheet one. Okay, but I don't want a sheet one. I don't want just this sheet. I want another one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this arrow and I'm going to rename this sheet. So when I click on that arrow, I go to rename and I'm going to rename it budget categories. Okay. Now that's it. That's the done. If you want to change the color of the bottom, you can. If you go to change color, you can change it. You can make it any color you want. I'm going to make it purple for the sake of this video. Okay. Then you're going to add another sheet. What I mean by another sheet is another page that you can open in Google Sheets, and it has to be empty for you to create your spending plan. So right here in this plus sign right here, this one right here, I'm going to click plus, and that's going to add a new Google Sheet. Once I have that, I'm going to click rename and I'm going to call this the spending plan. Okay. Now, I also want to give it a color because right now it doesn't have a color in the bottom. So I'm going to again click that, click change color, and I'm going to make it yellow. Okay. So now I have a spending plan here. Now, there is a PDF in Google Sheets that looks like this, and I'm going to show it to you guys. It looks like this. It's called Assignment 6, Create a Spending Plan Worksheet. Now, it gives you every single instruction you need, right? So it says click Add Sheet, insert, click in the Sheet 2 tab, click Rename, okay, uh, call it a spending plan. Now, the next thing we need to do is we're going to add a title, merge the cells, and center the content. Now, the way you do that is first you need on cell A, you need to type a spending plan. Then you gotta format the text, right, to make it however you want. Then you're going to merge cells A1 to H1, and I'll show you guys how to do that in a second. So the first thing we need to do is we go here. On A1, we're going to write down spending plan. Okay. Now I want to merge the cells from H1 all the way to A1. So the way I do that is by getting this, oopsie, getting this is basically dragging all the way here, just highlighting basically, okay? And then you see this thing right here? You can actually merge the cells. So if I click there, I can merge horizontally and it will merge. So now you don't have any separation in the lines. So now all this space right here from A1 to H1 is just one single square, okay? Another way to do that is you can also highlight that, and if you click on insert, where is it? I mean format. In format, you can actually merge cells as well, but otherwise it's easier through here, okay? Now, obviously, I don't want to leave it like that. I want to center it and make it like a title. So I'm going to bold it. I'm going to change the alignment, put it in the center. I want to make it a little bit bigger because right now it's too small. Okay. And that can happen like this. You can change the color, or I can change the color of the background. Can change the color of the background. Okay. I can make this however you want. You can change the font. Okay. So I'm going to leave it like that. But you guys can choose however you want. Okay. So use your skills that you've learned to do this. Okay. Now let's go ahead and look at the next instructions. So now it says adjust row and height vertically to align the content. So now that you have the content in the bottom, you can actually make the square in the middle thicker. What I mean by that is if I go back here, if I put my mouse between 1 and 2, like how we have here, right here, and then I can pull down, it makes it thicker. Now obviously this kind of looks off, so I don't want it to look like that. So the way you can fix that is if you click here, this part right here where it says vertically align, you can actually click in the middle and it'll put, you see how that changed? It put the thing in the middle, so now the title has space and it looks nicer. Okay, great. So now after that, we're going to create table headings from rows 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, and we're going to have fake data. Okay, now this fake data is just for us to be able to calculate something called tax. and the total. Okay, so I'm going to talk about it in a second. Okay, but you guys see this here? It says on A4 it says category, A5 it says item, C4 it says store, D4 it says cost, and then E4 says tax, then total, then hyperlink. You guys are going to go ahead and write down the same categories or the same names on your Google Sheets on A4. Okay, so if I go here, row 4, I'm going to write down categories. So now you can use your skills to, I wrote this down, so now you can use your skills to edit it. So again, I'm just going to highlight all of this. I'm going to change the font to whatever you want. Okay, you guys don't have to follow mine, but you can change to whatever you want. Um, okay. Same thing, I don't think I bolded. Okay, yeah. So change it to however you want. I'm just gonna leave it like that, but you can also give it colors if you want. For example, I can make this one, let's say red, and then this one, purple. Those colors are really dark, but you guys can change it to however you want. Okay. Um, so yeah, mine I colored like this. You can color it everyone differently, however you want, or you can leave it blank, however you want. Okay. Now look at the other steps. So now we formatted those cells. So we passed this section right here. Great. Oh yeah, cells. Select cells D5, D6, and D7 in the cost column, and click Format as Currency. Okay, and then select cells A4 and G7 and apply border lines. A4 to G7. Okay. So so you're going to be creating fake data for this. So for the cost, I'm going to put just 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Depending on how many things you think you need. So I'm just going to do up to up to D10 right here, but you guys can do more if you like. Categories, those are just tests. How you see it right here in this page, that's how you should supposed to have the whole thing. So test, 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 test. But then the cost, you put it right here. Okay, it's just for us to be able to see it. It's just sorry guys. It's just for us to be able to see it and just for us to have a number and create a formula that I'll teach you guys in a second. Okay, guys, so now we have this. Now we're going to calculate tax. Okay, so we have the cost. You can leave this empty. You don't have to write test on all of them. You can leave those empty. But this one, you need to write some numbers. Okay, so now we're going to calculate tax. So what is tax? Tax is basically uh, like a percentage that the government puts on different things for the government to be able to have money for example, fixing the city walks or fixing different things. Or that's how basically government makes their most of their money is by taxing people. So when people pay taxes, either if you're employed throughout your checks or if you have you're self-employed um, throughout like at the end of the year. Okay, there in California we have something called state tax, and other states obviously do as well. But state tax, I believe in California is around 9.5. So we're going to use that number to multiply by 10 to get our tax. Okay, what that means is that that will give us the number of how much tax we have to pay, for example, in a $10 shirt. Okay. I'm gonna change some of these numbers just for you guys to see the difference in tax based on like different things. Okay, um, just for you guys to be able to see them. But these numbers are just fictional, so you guys can just create your own. Okay, so now for the tax, we need to create a formula. Now, the way we create a formula is by always having the equal sign. So if you guys write down the equal sign here, you guys can even write it right here, or if you want, you can write it directly here. But equal sign, and then we're going to have whichever sign, what is this column that we have? So E, so for example, E, and then I mean, it's D because we're calculating a number here. So it's D5, okay? And then times, we're going to multiply that and we're going to use the asterisk for that. Okay. And then 9.5, because that's a percentage, okay? Okay, so now it's that. Oops. So percentage right there, and oops. We're going to press enter, and that gives us how much you have to pay of tax for that. Now, yeah, the other thing, it might suggest you to autofill. I just want you to click yes, you're going to autofill, and that'll autofill this entire column. The other way you can autofill, I'm going to delete all of this. Okay, you have to autofill, so that means that the equation that we use here, okay, that formula will transfer to the rest. So what I mean by that is going to, for example, instead of multiplying d5, which is this one, times 9.5, is going to multiply d6, and I'll show you guys what that means by a second. Just hit enter. So I'm going to go ahead, click there, and if I click here on the little corner and I have the plus sign, I drag down, it'll also do it for me, okay, individually, and it calculated the tax. Now you guys see how I have all these numbers like 4.275 and some numbers that don't really make sense, like you're not going to pay 275 um, like in tax, like in terms of like cents, for example. So right here we have something that you can increase decimal places or you can decrease decimal places. So we're going to decrease decimal places so that everything can be something that we understand. So like this. Okay, so you're going to pay 95 cents for, if you pay $45, your tax is going to be 4.28 cents. If you pay $20 of something, the tax of those $20 will be 1.90 cents. If you pay $78, the tax will be 7.41 cents. If you pay $50 of something, the tax will be 4.75 cents, and if you pay $38 of something, that tax would be 3.61 cents. Okay, so now you know the tax of these different fictitious costs right here. Okay, and if you guys notice something, whenever I click here, you see how it gives you the formula here that we use, which has whatever row that we're looking at, which is D7 right here. This one is right D, and then 7. Right, you guys can see that right here, D7. So you guys can see how it tells me right here, D7 and times 9.5%. Obviously the F8, it just came out because I'm clicking on it. Okay, if that happens, just make sure your formula looks like this. So whatever row the cost is in, whatever row and column the cost is in, or whatever cell the cost is in, times 9.5%. Okay, make sure that your things look like that. Okay. Um, if it doesn't, just let me know and I'll help you with that. Now for the total, you're going to create another formula. Okay. Now I don't want you guys to be using calculators. Obviously, like for example, 10 plus 0.95 is 10.95, but I want you guys to use sheets to calculate this, just to get practice with adding or with adding or doing different formulas. So again, you're going to write down the equal sign. Okay. Now we're going to, what I want to do is I want to add D5, okay, and then you're going to write down a plus sign, and you want to add that plus E5. So for this one, I want to do D5 plus E5. I want to do this cell plus this cell, okay? If I click enter, now it adds it for you. Again, it might ask you to autofill. If it does, click that one, yes, of course. But if it doesn't, and I'm going to delete this right now, let's say that it doesn't, or you accidentally click X, you can do that formula by clicking this plus sign and dragging down. Okay, so now you have those formulas there. Like for example, if I click here, you guys can see here how it says D5 plus E5. If I click here, you guys can see now it's D6 plus E6. If I click here, it's D7 plus E7. If I click here, it's D8 plus E8. So the formula is within all this. It's in tax, it's in total. Now we created two formulas, and those are the formulas I want you guys to create, okay? The next thing I want you guys to do is I want you guys to sell this whole thing. Like see how right now it looks like this, but I want it to be a little bit better, okay? So what I mean by that is I'm going to highlight this entire thing, okay? And I'm going to click here, okay? And I'm going to apply borders throughout. So now this looks like an actual spending plan, like square, okay, or triangle. I mean, not triangle, I mean rectangle. So now we have a rectangle that has been bordered. So that looks very nice. So I want you guys to also do that, okay? Now the next thing I want you guys to do is format this as money. So I'm going to highlight this and I'm going to click here, currency, and now it turns everything into currency. Same thing with this one, I'm going to turn it into currency. So now everything is currency, okay? The next thing is we're going to add another cell called grand total. So we're going to go ahead and write down grand total here under A2. So I'm going to go ahead and write down total, grand total, okay, and then equal sign. And then for B, I want to do the sum of these things right here. So again, you guys have a $750 budget. So you guys are going to add these ones here. So obviously you can do the plus sign, but since we have more than two numbers, you guys will have to use the sum formula, okay? So the grand total is, and I'm going to just click here and I'm going to apply the sum function. If I go to functions and I click sum, okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just click on the values that I want to add. So from this one uh, all the way to that one, okay, and it automatically does it for you, F5 to F10. If I just click on this cell right here, whoopsie, F5 to A10, oops, okay, A5 to A10, you guys see F5, and then the colon means 2, and then to F10. If I click enter, it gives you the number. Now, obviously, mine is 263 right here, so I will have to change these numbers. Now, these numbers are just fictional, so you don't have to do anything right now. But your number right here should be $750, okay, exactly. Uh, I'll teach you guys how to do conditional formatting, and I'll show you guys what that means in a second. But meanwhile, I want you guys to again format this so it can look nice. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and format it. So I formatted this whole thing so I get the grand total, and then I did 263.90 in red. Now, if I were to delete all these numbers, it will go to zero, but the formula we stuck there. And I'll show you guys what that means in a second. But before that, we need to format conditional this cell. So what that means is that we need to be able to make this cell. Let's say that you are adding numbers here, but you don't want to go through the problem of just like thinking about like, okay, what's going to be 750, what's going to make 750, right? So you have to format that cell. So if I go to the instructions right here, we already completed all these steps. So all these hard steps that look right here, that look a little hard, we already completed, okay? So the last step that we are working on right now is this one, okay? So if you want to go back to the instructions and look at the instructions more than listen to me, obviously you can. But right here are the instructions. So you guys are going to select cell B2, okay? And then you, from the format menu, you're going to select conditional formatting. So if we do that, okay? So B2, which is this number right here, we're going to click format and then conditional formatting right here, okay? Now, right here we have this, okay? Okay, so for format rules, we're going to say if it's greater than, okay? If it's greater than, and then 750, because we want it to be, you don't want it to be greater than $750. So if it's greater than $750, make it bold. What else? You can change a color that like will make it stand out. So if it goes over $750, it'll show a sign, like it'll tell you, okay, this is over 750. You can't like reduce the numbers. So maybe cyan, yeah, so something like that. So if it goes over $750, it'll show like this, or maybe we should do bright red. Well, you can format it whichever you want. If you want to do bright red to just alert, you can. I feel like cyan is also like, it looks like a color that alerts, right? So if the value is greater than 750, it'll turn into this color, and that'll tell you that that's too much, okay? We can add another rule. So for example, you can say if the text contains, I don't know, this is for something else, but if the text contains like something else, you can also change it, or if the date is before. You can do many things with this conditional format rules, but right now we just wanted to see if the cell is greater than 750, change it to this color. I'm going to play done, okay? So I don't know, it's twice, but right there. So if the cell is bigger than 750, it should look like that. Okay, now you can close it. So I'm just gonna change the number here. Maybe make this number 900, just to show you guys. See, now I changed the number to 900. Now right here it's 1078, and it turned into that color. That's what's called a conditional formatting. Now it tells you, okay, that's not good. Like it has to be less than 751. Okay, so I'm going to click the go back. Let's say that it's 750 exactly. So let's say 750. Will it turn to the color? No, so we're fine. Okay, so now we're done with this part. Okay, the last thing you need to do is make sure that the formulas are still here, but you want to keep it at 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and just delete this, and now the tax and the total turn to 0. That means, and the grand total also turn to 0. But if I click there, you still have the formulas. Like if I click there, I can still see the formulas here. Okay, so that means that if I put some number here, some random numbers like 90, now it'll turn it into the formula, like 90 plus the tax equals the total. Okay, which is pretty cool, and it gives you the grand total too. Okay, so in the following things, you guys are going to be adding you guys are going to be researching your categories that you chose. For example, electronics. Then you're going to research that thing on the internet, and then you're going to find the store that you're going to buy it in. What's the cost, the tax? Okay, so this is pretty good. But yeah, this is the assignment for today. All you have to do is create the spending plan. At the end, before you leave, I'm going to check that when I click on the tax or when I click on the total, I can see the formulas and that they are done correctly. Okay, that's the main thing of this. I want to see that you can do formulas and that you can edit and do many things. Okay. Also, you can use this worksheet that I'm going to put out up. Right. It looks a little more difficult than it really is, but it's basically just the same instructions I went over with you guys. But assignment 6 is just these steps. Okay. I'm also put this next to the video so you guys can open it up if however you need it. Okay. With that said, that's it. I hope you guys are good with this. If you have any questions, just let me know.